So there's this new girl at my work, Cassidy. I work in an Italian restaurant and I've been there for years. I know the ins and outs of the business, the restaurant, the customers, you name it. Well, Miss Cassidy thinks she can just come in here and change the game up. I have a different tone for her because I hate her. Let me share with you exactly why I feel like I need to get some revenge.
Hey everyone, I've got a situation at work and I need some outside perspective. For a bit of context, I'm a 27-year-old female who works as a server at our town's local Italian spot. Everyone knows everyone there, and after working there for 3 years, I've got my regulars and know the ropes. There's a high turnover rate for servers and hostesses, so we get a lot of new faces pretty frequently. Most of them are okay, but there's this one coworker I've been having issues with. Enter Cassidy. She's 24 years old and a new hire server who's been with us for about 60 days. Right from the start, she had this attitude of already knowing everything. Now, I've seen a lot of new servers come in and there's always a learning curve. No biggie, but when anyone, and I mean anyone, tried to correct her, she would double down and just do it her way. I once saw her serve a red wine chilled because she insisted that's how it's done. Yeah. One day during a break, she started going on about how serving isn't a real job and how she has her own beauty salon at home. She made it sound like she was doing us a favor by gracing our establishment with her presence. But then, in the same breath, she'd complain about how businesses has not been good for her salon. So, she took up a serving job for a bit of extra cash. Now, I respect the hustle, truly I do. But it irked me how she dismissed our work as not a real job, when it's currently her main source of income. I'd catch her scrolling through her phone showing off pictures of her salon to other servers during business hours, all while there were tables to be served. I heard from coworkers who trained her that it was a miserable experience. Guys, I get it. Everyone has their pride, but she made them feel like they were beneath her because she had this real passion on the side. One evening, after an especially busy shift, a few of us were unwinding in the back. The topic of Cassidy came up, and everybody was sharing their frustrations, but in a light-hearted, venting kind of way. I remember blurting out, "Isn't it funny how this isn't a real job, but it's currently paying her bills?" Well, everybody fell silent for a moment, and then there was an eruption of laughter. Word got around, and the next day I heard from a friend that Cassidy knew what I'd said. She has not confronted me directly yet, but I can feel the tension in the air. I noticed her giving me some side glances and speaking in a hushed tone with a few other new servers. I feel like I've unintentionally started a war. And while part of me believes she needed a reality check, another part wonders if I might have crossed the line. The rest of the OGs have my back, but there's a split among the new staff. Edit. Guys, thanks for the feedback, everyone. I'll keep you updated if anything else happens. Cassidy and I have a shift together tomorrow, so I guess we'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. Update number 1. Hey again. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and let me tell you, things have taken a wild turn with Cassidy. Working alongside her has been a challenge, to put it mildly. The tension's palpable, and it's clear that she has some serious vendettas against me. The initial awkwardness I expected, but what followed was a series of passive-aggressive maneuvers that made me question her sanity. One evening, I was particularly busy juggling a few tables in my section. I had this lovely couple celebrating their anniversary, and I wanted to make their evening special, so I had their orders taken and set the mood with some complimentary wine. But when the food was ready, Cassidy, who happened to be near the kitchen, took it upon herself to bring it to my table. She, and I quote, accidentally tripped and dropped the entire tray. Their special anniversary dinner ruined. It's worth mentioning that Cassidy did not even apologize or show a hint of remorse. In fact, she looked almost pleased. The couple was understandably upset, and by the end of their prolonged meal, they left me less than a favorable tip, with a note that read, "Food took too long." I was livid, but this was just the beginning. Our restaurant has a policy that all servers roll silverware at the end of the shift. It's a shared responsibility, and one evening after a tiring shift, I sat down to start rolling. Cassidy, with her impeccable timing, declared to our manager that she had a super important client at home and had to leave early. As she sauntered past my table, she leaned in close so only I could hear, and she said these words to me exactly. "Looks like you're going to have to roll all of that, hun. I've got an actual career to attend to." Before I could even process her audacity, she was gone, leaving me with a mountain of silverware and a rising anger. And it was not just these incidents, it was the small, everyday things. Whispering to other servants while shooting me side glances, conveniently forgetting to restock when it's her turn, leaving messes for others to clean up. But the cherry on top, I overheard her telling a new server, "Watch out for OP. She's been here forever and thinks she owns the place." I tried talking to management about Cassidy's behavior. I could not be the only one noticing, right? But each time I got vague answers, like, "We'll look into it," or "We haven't seen any direct proof." I'm starting to feel like I'm trapped in some twisted soap opera. What are they seeing in Cassidy that I'm not? Is her charm act working on them? It's clear she's hell-bent on either making me quit or tarnishing my reputation completely. Despite the stress, the only silver lining has been the support from some of my OG coworkers. They've seen Cassidy's game and assured me that they've got my back. But honestly, the environment at the restaurant has changed so much, and I'm not sure how much longer I can endure this. This is not the end, guys. I'll keep you posted on further developments. But for now, I'm at my wit's end and looking for advice and handling the situation. Update number 2. Hey, it's me again. Remember Cassidy, the nightmare coworker? Well, things have taken a wild turn in the past 2 weeks. After my last post, I got a ton of supportive comments, and I genuinely felt backed by the community. But every shift with Cassidy became more challenging. You want to know the last straw? She waltzed in 2 hours late one day, claiming she had another important client. She didn't even bother with her opening duties, leaving the rest of us to pick up her slack. It felt like I was working double just to accommodate her whims. I was livid. This was not just about me anymore. It was about the respect for the job, the establishment, and the entire team. Late one night, after a particularly grueling shift with a glass of wine in hand, I concealed what felt like the perfect revenge plan, a plan to show Cassidy that every job matters and to maybe knock her down a peg or two. Now, I know revenge isn't usually the best solution, but the more I thought about it, the more appealing it became. Cassidy had always prioritized her beauty salon over our job, so I thought, why not mess with that? I found her salon's booking page and began making appointments. Fake ones, of course, for the entire upcoming month. I got creative with the names. I'm a no fox, I need a day off, testing times, and completely booked her out. In my slightly wine-induced state, it felt like poetic justice. She made our job harder, and I'd make hers impossible. Fast forward 3 days, and Cassidy storms into the restaurant, radiating confidence and arrogance. To everybody's shock, she declared that she's quitting, effective immediately because her salon had gotten an incredible boom in bookings. She didn't even have the decency to give a notice. The managers who started to see Cassidy's true colors were absolutely livid. The rest of us, well, we were left scrambling to cover her abandoned section. As she strutted out, not sparing a glance or goodbye for anybody, I could not help but chuckle to myself. I mean, guys, come on. How long would it take for her to realize that her newfound popularity was a ruse? Had she even noticed the peculiar names I used? My satisfaction was immense, but a small voice in my head also questioned whether I've gone too far. Now I sit here, mulling over my actions, and I've yet to tell anyone at work about my escapades. But my gut tells me this story is not over. Final update. 3 weeks have passed since the booking fiasco, and I've kept my little stunt under wraps, only sharing it with you guys. But word got around that Cassidy discovered the fake bookings. How she reacted, well, According to one of my coworkers, she stormed into the restaurant ranting about how somebody from the establishment had, quote, sabotaged her salon. She seemed to expect sympathy, perhaps even her job back. But the managers, who by now had no illusions about her commitment, were unimpressed. They offered her a hollow apology and gently showed her the door. I had to stifle my laughter when I learned that she tried to worm her way back into this establishment after disparaging our not-real job. Oh, the irony. So let's fast forward a few more days now, and I found myself in need of some caffeine before my morning shift. As I pulled into the drive-thru of my usual coffee spot, the last thing I expected was to see Cassidy's face in the serving window right there at the local Tim Hortons. When our eyes met, a mix of shock, embarrassment, and a subtle recognition just played out across her face. The air was thick with unspoken words, and she just handed me my coffee, her hand trembling a bit as if she's had too much to drink herself. The brief interaction felt like an eternity, and as I drove off, the rich aroma of my morning coffee was overshadowed by a bit of guilt, triumph, and a hint of pity. Seeing Cassidy in such a role was sobering, though. It wasn't about the job itself. Every job's honorable. It was about the humbling realization that life is unpredictable, and our actions have consequences that reverberate in ways we cannot foresee. Regardless, the weight of my secret has grown heavy. While I initially revealed in my clandestine revenge the moral quandary it represents, it's undeniable. So here's my final question. Am I the a-hole for orchestrating the events that led to Cassidy quitting? Guys, let me know what you think and don't go easy on me. Comment number 1 from the original post. Oh my gosh, this is a classic. It always amazes me how these know-it-alls inevitably end up shooting themselves in the foot. They're so resistant to others' input and they completely blindside themselves. Cassidy sounds like a piece of work and an absolute nightmare to work alongside. I can't blame OP at all for wanting her out. Sometimes a little push is all somebody needs to exit stage left. Cassidy totally had it coming, not the a-hole. Comment number 2. I'm genuinely taken back by OP's actions. Sabotaging somebody's source of income regardless of your personal vendetta, it's not okay. Remember, Cassidy also had bills to pay, and it wasn't OP's place to take matters into her hands. If Cassidy was such a nuisance, the natural order of things would have eventually led her to getting fired. Tricking somebody to leave their job is such a low blow. I don't care what you guys think. OP, you are the a-hole. Comment number 3. Honestly, I'm more surprised that management let Cassidy's behavior slide for so long. If multiple servers had issues with her, why didn't the managers step up? Yeah, I agree, OP's tactic, extreme. But I can also understand the frustration of working with somebody so abrasive. OP, you're not really the a-hole, but I really wish there had been a more mature way to handle this. Anyways, whatever.
Alright guys, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. I'm actually very surprised with the comment section that we've seen in this one. A lot of people were split. Some people were saying, OP, you went way too far, making somebody actually lose a job that they were using to pay for stuff, just, well, because you tricked her and made her think she had another job lined up with all the appointments. So a lot of people were saying that her livelihood was put into jeopardy, and OP was the reason behind that. Okay, that's fair enough, I guess, but there was another amount of people, about 50% of the comments, that were saying Cassidy deserved every single bit of this, and sometimes karma comes around to teach you a lesson. Guys, honestly, I would like to know where you fall in that. Do you think OP is the a-hole, or maybe do you think OP's not the a-hole? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and let me know why. Here's the title for story number 2 of the day. Am I the a-hole for taking matters into my own hands and dumping garbage into the driveway of these illegal dumpers?
Hey y'all, I'm a 46-year-old male. I've been in the garbage business for 13 years or a little longer. I love what I do. Owning my own landfill and running a small local garbage truck company is my passion. I take pride in keeping my community clean. One day, while driving my usual route through the local neighborhoods with my buddy on the back, we came to the end of one of the neighborhoods. We were approaching a cul-de-sac when we spotted a huge pile of garbage littered all over the place. I have to tell you, the sight of seeing it was very shocking. This cul-de-sac was connected to the neighborhood but did not have any direct houses in it. The garbage was dumped there, clearly not left by a resident of the neighborhood. My heart sank at the mess, but without complaining, my coworker and I got out and started picking up the mess. Now, it's pretty standard in our business to look through the garbage that's been illegally dumped just to find any mail addresses or anything that might lead us back to who did this. And I did find a piece of mail with an address. My gut told me to hold on to it, so I placed it in the window seal of my truck. We cleaned up the entire mess and continued on our route through our neighborhoods. The day went on without any other problems, but I seriously could not shake the frustration and the anger building inside me from all that trash. People who litter have always bothered me, but this incident got under my skin like nothing else. It was a disaster. I could not understand why people could just, not throw away their trash like a normal person. The audacity of somebody to just dump their garbage in our neighborhood, knowing somebody else has to clean up after them, infuriated me. So, as I drove, the piece of mail in the windowsill seemed to be staring right there with me, a constant reminder of the disrespect and negligence of whoever had done this. Am I wrong for holding on to the piece of mail? Only time will tell, but I will update you guys if I find anything else out. Update number 1. Guys, I did not expect this many people to follow my story and care about it. It seems people don't like when you drop a bunch of trash on the earth. Well, it's been 2 weeks since I found that pile of, illegally dumped garbage in the cul-de-sac, and honestly, I've managed to push it out of my mind. Life goes on, and I've got a job to do. My buddy and I were back out running our normal garbage routes, and things were business as usual. But then, as we were driving through a different neighborhood, we spotted another pile of dumped garbage. It was like a punch to the gut, but this time it was worse. There was even more garbage bags than the last time. It was a mess. My blood starts to boil, and my buddy and I were both incredulous, staring at the garbage, unable to believe that somebody would have done it. The anger that was simmering in me from the last incident flared itself up again, and I remembered that piece of mail and the address. Well, we jumped out of the truck, determination in our eyes, and this time we were on a mission. We cleaned up the garbage, all the while searching for another piece of mail that might come from, it, and just confirm our suspicions. We needed to see if it was the same person illegally dumping their waste, and after what seemed like forever, we found it, and guys, the addresses matched. I could feel a bit of vindication and fury inside me as we finished cleaning up the mess. We went on with our route that day, but I was consumed by the thought of what happened. Who's this mystery person? Why were they doing this? And what could we do to stop it? Back at the shop, my buddy and I had a long discussion about what to do next. We were both on the same page, knowing that something had to be done, but we were also unsure. We had the evidence, but what we were supposed to do with it, I don't know. I went home that night with a heavy heart. My wife could see something was bothering me, obviously, and I told her everything. She was supportive, but she was worried. She could see that this was eating at me, and she did not know how to help. I laid awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about, the address and all the comments from my original post, and the blatant disregard for our community. I knew that some type of retribution had to be done, if we were ever wanting it to stop, but what could I do? The dilemma weighed on me like a ton of bricks. I knew that doing nothing wasn't an option, but I also knew that I needed to be careful, I needed to be smart, I needed to be just, but most of all, I needed to do something. So here I am, 2 weeks later, back at square one with more questions than answers. I'll keep you guys updated, but right now, I'm lost, angry, and determined to make things right. Update number 2. It's been a week since the last illegal dumping, and the frustration and anger have been eating away at me. My buddy and I spent hours talking about what to do next, and we even went as far as informing the local police about the dumpings. But we were met with indifference. They told us that there wasn't enough evidence to lead them to the crime, though they'd be more aware of looking out for illegal dumpers. This wasn't enough. We knew that these illegal dumpers were only going to continue, and we were sick and tired of cleaning up after them, to be honest, so we decided to take matters into our own hands. We still had all the garbage collected from those illegal dumps, so we started reloading our truck with these garbage bags after garbage bags after garbage bags. I could feel adrenaline coursing through me as we drove to the address, 45 minutes out of town. The address that's tormented me for weeks. I was on my way there. When we arrived at the address, the sight of the whole neighborhood filled with giant expensive houses made my anger rise even more. How could people live in such luxury, have so little regard for my community? We parked right in front of the house and, hearts pounding, quickly started unloading all the garbage bags back into the driveway, leaving a mountain of garbage in front of the nice house. We were driven by a sense of justice and a need to right a wrong. We jumped back into our trucks and got out of there as quickly as possible. The drive back to the landfill was a blur, and I still felt a rush from what we have just done. I thanked my buddy, and we went our separate ways. I don't know. I've done the very thing I hated. I laid there at night thinking about it. I had illegally dumped garbage back into the suspect's culprit yard. The question started to run through my head. What if I was wrong and it wasn't really those people? What if the mail was just mixed into the real culprit's garbage? What if we had just made a terrible mistake? I knew I crossed a line, that I had become the very thing I despised. My buddy and I have taken the law into our own hands, and I just wish I could say that I'm proud of what we did, and that I knew that we taught those illegal dumpers a lesson, but the truth is, I'm filled with doubt and guilt. Anyways, I'll keep you guys updated, but for now, I'm left to grapple with the consequence of my actions. Update number 3, final update. It's been a month since my buddy and I took matters into our own hands, and every day since then has been filled with a mix of relief, guilt, and nagging fear that our actions will catch up to us. We've not heard or seen anything else about the illegal dumpings. The neighborhood, which was once tarnished by the disregard for communities and environments, seemed to have returned to normal. On the surface, it appears that we got away with it, but the incident looms large in both of our minds. We've been working our normal route since the incident, just trying to move on, but the memories of that day are never far from our thoughts. We openly talk about the incident, sometimes even jokingly wishing that we could see their faces when they discovered the pile of garbage. The laughter, though, is brought back with guilt. But since we got away with it, we've tried to convince ourselves that we did the right thing. We taught these illegal dumpers a lesson, right? Well, we tell ourselves that. We just have to move on and hope it never comes up again. But the truth is, it's not that simple. I've read all your comments, and I know that many of you will be against what we did. You tell me that we're in the wrong and that we should have just taken the law into our own hands like that, and deep down I know you're right. But I also know that we're driven by frustration and anger. Anyways, thanks guys for listening. Am I the a-hole for doing this? Whatever you have to say, I'm ready to hear it. Comment number 1 from the original post and all the updates. I can't believe you went through with this. I can't believe there wasn't a camera that caught you guys re-dumping the garbage. OP, while I agree that the illegal dumping is a problem and needs to be addressed, you're not some superhero. Your method was reckless and irresponsible. Everyone sucks here. You've essentially became the same as the illegal dumpers. You did the same thing they did. Anyways, everyone sucks. Comment 2. OP, I understand your frustration, but the reality is a really messy one. Everyone sucks here, and here's why. You never confirmed that the address you found was actually the culprit. Yes, the illegal dumpers are clearly in the wrong, but you acted without solid evidence, and you could be wrong. Your anger is justified, but there's not the way to handle it. Comment number 3. Honestly, I can see why you did what you did, OP. Sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands because police do nothing. The police said that they couldn't do much, and you felt compelled to act. While it may not have been the most legal route, I admire your courage in standing up for what you believe in.
So I found another comment, not one of the ones we just read, but it was a different one I'll read now. I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that anybody would ever say OP is the a-hole. I think OP was way too hard on himself in the story. Yeah, you might have sank to their level, but at the end of the day, you got some justice. Don't second guess if it was the right people's house. It was not a coincidence that you found the address 2 times in a row in the garbage bags. It was obviously them, and you did the right thing. I don't care what anyone says, you are not the a-hole. So guys, let me know exactly what you think about that comment. Do you agree? Do you think that OP is the a-hole for sinking to the level of dumping the garbage back to the streets? Let me know your thoughts. My name's Mr. Reddito, and this is Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel. If you want daily videos, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.